Game Week 18 team selection. Today, I'm going to take you through my team, my lineup. We've got more injuries with Anthony Gordon picking up an injury in the Carabao Cup last night. So we've got to discuss that. I've got some potential defenders I want to change as well. So today, I'm going to take you through those potential transfers that I'm going to make going into Game Week 18. We'll talk about my lineup. We'll talk about my captaincy as well and what it means for my team going forward. Welcome back everyone, FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 2,000 likes on this video is going to be the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here. Thank you all very much for 90,000 subscribers. Again, another milestone I never thought the channel would reach. And yeah, thank you to each and every one of you who has watched from the start, from the most recent video, who has supported me along the way. Here is the road to 100k. Looking at game week 17, I got, well, at time recording, I'm on 74 points with a -4. But of course, we still don't know what's going to happen to the points in that Bournemouth versus Luton game. I have Dominic Solanke in my starting lineup, who on the official website still has 6 points. So that's his goal. He hasn't been awarded any bonus points, but he hasn't had his points taken away yet. I do have Livramento with 9 points first on my bench. So to be honest, it doesn't massively impact me whether they decide to go and award Solanke's 9 points, whether they give him 6, or whether they just completely null and void the game. But I know a lot of you are waiting on it. I do expect an update from them on Wednesday because of the deadline coming very, very close on Thursday, and there being the draft version of the game updating actually on Wednesday today. So I am expecting an update pretty soon, but we do know that they are probably just waiting for the Premier League to do their official announcement first. Looking at, game week 17, I actually did pretty well. Defensively, things look pretty good. I finally got some clean sheets, and they all came at once, right? Newcastle, we had Arsenal, we had Spurs, and we had Liverpool. Plus, I've got Livramento first on my bench with returns. Into midfield, it was all the Cole Palmer show, really, coming in with a 14-point return. Anthony Gordon did start that game. He got 6, but of course, he went off last night with a bit of an injury, so we'll talk about him. And then I have kept Ollie Watkins all the way through, and he came in with a 9-pointer again. So moving up at the moment from 205k up to about 120k, getting closer to that top 100k mark. Very, very happy with the past 2 weeks and how they've gone. So I've spoken for quite a few weeks about how I want to be focusing on defensive transfers now. I thought I fixed my midfield and I fixed my forward line as well. So now I want to turn my attention to my defence. And with Erling Haaland being out, I now have a lot of money in the bank, 9.4 million to be exact, and 1 free transfer. In my defence at the moment, I have both Tsimikas and I have Livramento as well. To start with Tsimikas, Tsimikas has been great for me. However, Robertson is expected back at about game week 21, which is the first deadline into January, about mid-January. So I have a maximum of about 3, maybe 4 game weeks, probably only 3 game weeks left of Tsimikas in my team, and then we'll be looking to sell him. However, I have so much money in the bank. Trent Alexander-Arnold looks so good. He's mopping up bonus points. He's getting assists. He's in very attacking shooting positions as well, playing midfield at some times for Liverpool. And I think he might start there against Arsenal at the weekend, with Joe Gomez coming in at right back and Tsimikas staying in at left back as well. So if Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to play in midfielder while the likes of McAllister is out injured as well, and I actually think even at right back, he's a fantastic option. With the Haaland money, I do think it is a worthwhile upgrade until about game week 24 or so, and then I can potentially look to go and get off him. The other transfer that I've spoken about that I could do as well, or separately, or I could do for a -4, is upgrading Tino Livramento all the way up to Kieran Trippier as well. Kieran Trippier, of course, was suspended in game week 17, so he did get a price drop. Livramento did, of course, get that 9-pointer, and he's looked really, really good. However, Dan Burn is now back. Livramento hasn't done anything to not get that spot. However, when they play a physical team like Luton, it's not impossible that they go with a back four of Dan Burn, Lascelles, Botman, who is now back, and then they play Kieran Trippier as well, which leave no place in that Newcastle starting lineup for Livramento. I just think over the next few weeks, it'll be too much for concern every single deadline, knowing whether Livramento is going to come in. However, Kieran Trippier over the past few weeks, and it followed into the cup last night, has not been at it. He's not been at his best. He's not been defending well, particularly. He's had a couple of goals, particularly the one against Mudryk last night and the one against Son on Spurs, that he has not written himself in glory, which does concern me a little bit. But we've seen with players before, you don't have to be playing well. You don't have to be, good at football at the moment to be a good FPL asset. So I actually have the money to do both Tsimikas up to Trent and Livramento up to Kieran Trippier as well. Now, that will be investing the Haaland money. And that then will make it more difficult for me to get Haaland back in the place of Dominic Solanke when I want to make that transfer. First of all, we heard from Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola has said that he doesn't expect Haaland to play any part in the Club World Cup game. He didn't play in their first match and he's not expected to play in the final. He is also not back in training either. On Wednesday, it is now 7 days until they play against Everton in game week 19. So not the game week just coming up, of course, where they have the blank, but in game week 19. A week away and he's still not back in training. That makes him a major, major doubt for game week 19, which means I need to be looking at game week 20, probably when I expect to go and buy him back. The thing is with Man City and Haaland is we won't get press conferences for game week 19. They fall on Boxing Day, the 26th of December. We don't get press conferences on Christmas Day in the UK. So I'm pretty sure there will be no Manchester City press conference on the 25th of December going into that game week 19 fixture. So we'll have no idea if Haaland is likely to be back for that fixture. So again, I'm going to go without him in game week 19 at the moment so I can look at game week 20. And game week 20 is the week before both Salah and Son go away to the African Cup of Nations and Asia Cup respectively. In game week 20, we do have an easy fixture for Son, so I'll probably want to keep him. But Salah does have Newcastle at home, so I could really easily sell Salah and go and buy Erling Haaland with 2 transfers going into game week 20 with Salah down and then upgrading Dominic Solanke. And this means that I don't need to worry about buying Trent, buying Trippier if I can just free up the money from Salah and Son. Now, the question is, how long do we expect them to be out for? Both of their countries, South Korea and Egypt, are reasonable favourites for the tournament. They're both in the top 5 favourites to win that tournament, which means you probably expect them to get to around the semi-final point of the tournament. This would mean they'd miss a minimum of 3 game weeks of FPL, but probably 4 game weeks with the quick flight home that they might have. So 4 game weeks, which means it's probably time to at least sell one of them. You could maybe get away with benching maybe Son or Salah, but keeping both of them on your bench is not going to happen. Again, just meaning that selling Salah to buy Haaland back is absolutely a fine thing for me to do. That was the initial plan, but now I do have a bit of an Anthony Gordon issue. Now, Eddie Howe did say after the game that he's taken a bad knock in that game. And it was probably from the Caicedo challenge, which as a Chelsea fan, he could have very easily and maybe definitely should have seen a red card for. However, going into game week 18, again, because of the turnaround, not that Eddie Howe is ever very useful in press conferences, we're not going to get a Newcastle press conference before the game week 18 deadline. The Newcastle press conference will likely fall on Friday, and the game week 18 deadline is on Thursday this week. So again, with these turnarounds, we don't always get that much useful information on the players in our team. So I do have a potential route that I would need to go and sell him. If I was to sell Anthony Gordon, I would almost definitely go and buy Richarlison. When Son or Salah goes away to the Asia Cup or the African Cup of Nations, I'm pretty sure that Richarlison will be the player that I bring in their place. Maybe Jarrod Bowen is another one that I'm looking at as well. However, if I just do that now, when Salah or Son go away, I could just bring in a different player for them, bring Anthony Gordon back, go to Jarrod Bowen as well as having Richarlison. Pretty certain with the fixtures of Everton and Brighton in the next 2, playing against his most recent club, of course against Everton, then that fixture against Brighton as well, that Gordon to Richarlison would be the transfer I would make if I'm thinking of selling Gordon. The other thing I could do is, while Edouard is out at Crystal Palace, is go and buy Mateta, who's been very good. Brighton and Chelsea in the next 2 is not ideal, but I could just upgrade Cameron Archer to him and then bench Gordon this week if he is out and doesn't play against Luton. So, with all that being said, a whistle-stop tour of what my team is likely to look like for game week 18. Dubravka is going to keep his place in goal. Still not certain if Areola is going to even come back into that team, but they play Manchester United this week, so he's going to be in there. Moving into defence, okay, so Porro is going to stay, of course. Very, very happy with him. It's a home fixture against Everton. Fingers crossed for some more points, either clean sheets or attacking returns as well. I'm actually planning on keeping Livramento. I just can't see that Eddie Howe has the ability to drop him. He has been one of their best, if not their best defender over the past few weeks. Trippier's been off it. Dan Burns just coming back. And if Anthony Gordon is out, we might actually get Livramento playing further forward because Isaac is also missing at the moment with an undisclosed injury. We also have, of course, a few other injuries in that front line. So they might have to line up with Almiron on the left, Wilson in the middle, and then Livramento at right wing. It's possible that this happens. And with how good he's been, even defensively, I think there's a decent enough chance that he starts. So right now, I don't planning on selling him for a hit, which means my one free transfer is going to be selling Tsimikas up to Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think. I am going to wait right up to the deadline because I'm going to do my best to try and find something, training photos, whatever it is, on whether Anthony Gordon is going to be available or not, which could change my transfer this week. So moving into midfielder, no spoiler there, Anthony Gordon is in. We've got Saka, Son, Salah. My three most expensive assets actually all blanked in game week 17. So fingers crossed that some of those could do well. Cole Palmer and Gordon, of course, in there. And then up front, it is Dominic Solanke again, and it is Ollie Watkins. Pretty happy with how the front seven looks if Gordon is going to be available. Of course, it's one I'm keeping my eye on. In terms of captaincy, it goes down to three players in Salah, in Son, and in Ollie Watkins as well. But given the fixture for Salah, I just don't think I'm going to go and put it on him, given the performances we've actually seen from him in the past few weeks, which leaves Son at home to Everton, and it leaves Ollie Watkins at home to Sheffield United as well. I can't look past the Aston Villa home form. Son has been very, very hit and miss. I feel like I'm getting more consistency out of Watkins and out of Aston Villa. So right now, Ollie Watkins captain with Son as my vice captain. So, just having a look at exactly what this means for my team going into game week 18 and potentially going forward as well, right? So, my planned transfer this week is Tsimikas out, and then I'm going to go and buy Trent Alexander-Arnold in his place. Again, I got so much money in the bank that is absolutely no problem. Now, going into 19, this leaves me in a slightly difficult position with what to do with Livramento now. The issue is the next two fixtures for Livramento, but Trippier as well, the one I really want to buy, are both good. Luton and Forest in the next two, but although Luton have, again, a great home record, particularly scoring goals this season, Nottingham Forest with a new manager, what are they going to look like? But after that, Liverpool, Man City, Aston Villa. So if I'm not buying Kieran Trippier in game week 18, I'm not going to really want him for the next four. So although going into game week 19, I look at it and I think I might need to sell Livramento, I don't necessarily think Kieran Trippier is the right defender to go and buy right now. So Arsenal start to have a really nice run, and I know defensive double-ups are not necessarily the right thing to do, but I'm continue to be so impressed with Zinchenko. It could also be Saliba, who's probably more solid for minutes, but the upcoming fixtures for Arsenal are really nice after they play Liverpool this week. So West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest in there. So whether I was to do that transfer or not, I don't actually need a defender in that slot next week anyway, because I can just play Gabriel. So I'd probably roll the transfer in game week 19, whether I make a Trippier transfer this week or not. My defence looks good. My midfield looks good. Again, it might depend on whether Gordon's going to be back. If he's still out, then if he's going to miss Forest and then have Liverpool, Man City, Aston Villa, then maybe I would sell him. But I'd probably look to roll in game week 19. And then in game week 20, this is, of course, where the Haaland plan would come in. I'm still not expecting Haaland to come back in game week 19. If he was, I would probably either go without him for a week because it is a way at Everton of being good, and I wouldn't want to sell Salah away at Burnley. I wouldn't want to sell Son against Brighton and then Bournemouth. Solanke also has Fulham at home, and then I'm not selling Watkins as well. So I would probably just wait for game week 20 anyway, and then of course that would be when Mo Salah out, probably to Richarlison, or actually probably at that point to Jared Bowen, and that would again give me the money to do Dominic Solanke very, very comfortably all the way up to Erling Haaland. Again, leaving a lot of money in the bank still to go and buy Kieran Trippier when his fixtures change as well. So that is the plan of how to get Haaland. That is the plan over the next few weeks. So as much as I might want Kieran Trippier going into game week 18, I'm not sure it's worth a hit over Livramento. And I think Tsimikas is the bigger problem going forward, especially this week. So Tsimikas up to Trent is my one transfer that I've planned. I will be waiting on Anthony Gordon news, whether I think he's going to be back available for this week, as that might force me into another move in midfield, and I might just hold Tsimikas if Gordon is going to be out. But fingers crossed that he is going to be back available, as a lot rides on him. Thank you all so much for watching. A bit of a longer video on our team selection because every week we have so many injuries. We've got to talk about Haaland. We've got to talk about Trent and Trippier in this video as well. So Thank you all so much for watching. 2,000 likes on the video is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here as well. There will be a 2-hour deadline stream on Thursday evening, so make sure you're subscribed. Turn on notifications to get a reminder of that to get all of your questions answered live. And I'll be back again very soon.